We're going to adjust a couple things. We switched out our camera, so welcome back. If you were watching us before, I'm going to briefly talk about some of the things I just talked about, and then we'll get straight into your questions. So if you're new here, my name is Kim, and I was one of the 20 chosen to be able to be early access on the app for Tesla Robo Taxi. I was out in Austin, Texas, taking rides the last couple days, and I experienced a phantom braking incident while I was out there, posted our video and had tons of questions. Also, a lot of mainstream media reached out to us and wanted interviews, and I figured, why not just control my own narrative, do an AMA. You guys can ask questions. If mainstream media is out there and want to ask questions, they can do it just on my own terms. So yes. Here we are today. One of the top questions was about my seatbelt and if the seatbelt was possibly what caused the phantom braking incident. And I'm going to say no, because honestly, Robotaxi does not drive unless your seatbelt is on.
Yep.
And that's the first thing it makes you do before it will even move. So yes, my seatbelt was on. The reason why it looked a little bit weird is because we wear these microphones on us when we film. And when I was shooting another video, actually that was the Robotaxi Cybercab unveil video, while I was doing that Robotaxi, and that was how long ago? October. I actually lost my mic in the car, because what I typically do when I film inside of vehicles when I'm driving is I snap it onto my seatbelt. And then if I'm excited or I'm filming by myself, what's happened in the past is that I forget that it's on my seatbelt. I think it's on my shirt, and I get out and forget all about it. And I really didn't want that to happen.
I'm laughing at a comment that says, looks like Elon cut the cord on the last live stream.
Right?
It's pretty good.
I know. So anyways, my mic is here now. That's why it looked like I didn't have my seatbelt on, because I was kind of pulling it down for part of the video, or I had it like under my arm and I was kind of leaning forward because I'm holding this big heavy camera while I'm recording, and I was recording by myself for all that. So that's why it looked a little bit weird. But yes, my seatbelt was on, and hopefully that answers that question. And we had done that ride numerous times, the same path, and every single time it was smooth. Like there was no issues, no phantom braking. And I was doing the same sort of thing with my seatbelt because we had been recording, Dan and I. PJ was not able to come out with me. Fortunately, we had 2 days notice, and he had to take the kids to camp.
Yeah.
So I had my friend Dan from Western Side Channel join me for all that, but hopefully that answers some of the questions, but we can get right into it.
Yeah, if you got the questions, bring them in. How did you hail the taxi? Notice participants had to show an app to the safety observer.
Yeah, so again, only 20 people had access to this app. And it's just like when you go to use Uber or Lyft, where you put in your address you want to go. It even has suggestions for like cafes, a couple different things, and it will pull up different options, which was nice because I don't live in Austin. I don't know what's out there. And you would do that. It would come. Now, it did take a little bit more time. It took like 10 minutes sometimes while you're waiting, because they, I think they had like somewhere from 10 to 30 Robotaxis driving around.
I saw 11 as the specific number. So I saw Sawyer and Merritt actually, and I believe Holmar's blog, were out there counting the different license plates.
Okay.
And they counted 11 that were out there. So I think it's between 11 and 15.
So the reason I thought maybe it was more is because there was a photo on X, I think Elon Musk had put of the whole team, and it said like 30, but some of those might be employee ones. So Robotaxis have been driving around Austin, Texas for a few months now, and employees have had access to them. I even talked to a guy at a Tesla center that said he's been driving it around and had app access. But this was the first time other people outside of employees had access. Yeah. So only 20 of us did, but basically it would just come to you. That's how you'd hail it. You just do it in the app, just like Uber or Lyft.
Yeah. And the area, the geo-fenced area, it looks like it was about half the size of what Waymo offers currently in Austin.
It was a very small area.
Yeah, 20 minutes or so from the west to east side, or north to south. I think it's about a 10-minute drive. So a smaller area, but you're one of the 20 that was out there and got to experience it. So, one thing that I was kind of looking into is how long did it take Waymo to get away from safety observers that were in the car? And they started back around 2017, 2018, but it wasn't until about December 2019 where they actually started offering this to a very select group of people in Phoenix, Arizona, where they kind of started everything. And within 10 months, by the end of 2020, is when they began to finally remove that safety driver. Now, in that 10-month period, there was a fatality that made a lot of news at the time. And I think if it happens now with something like Tesla, which is far bigger and far more, notable name, household name than even Waymo was back in 2020, it would make major headlines. But they took 10 months. The person that was in the driver's seat that was not driving, just monitoring, did not see someone crossing the street, struck it, took that person's life. And that was one of the few fatalities that has happened in a Waymo. But again, within 10 months, this kind of scaled up and they were able to remove anyone from front passenger or driver's seat. And the rides were actually free for an extended period for Waymo as well, where I think the last live stream we had going, someone was asking, how much is it per mile to ride the Robotaxi? Tesla's quoted saying, or Elon Musk has said 20 cents, 25 cents is what they're looking to do, where Uber currently is $1 to $2 per mile when you ride hail there.
Well, the rides were $4.20.
It's $4.20 flat.
$4.20, which was kind of silly. Like, I get that they were trying to be funny with that, but it was also kind of like, why are they charging us like to do that?
Yes, in this small group of media people that they brought out there. I mean, obviously the hundreds of rides they did cumulatively probably totaled into just a few $100s or maybe a few $1,000s. So it's not a major money making. So it was more of a joke opportunity.
But it's interesting because like when you think about it, like we found out 2 days before you pay for your own flights out there, you pay for your own hotel. They don't even tell you the geofenced area before you have to book all this. So you're just like doing this. And after the fact, I was like, wasn't even in the geofenced area. And I'm like, I wish they would have told me that detail, like, the day before, but they were obviously worried about all that.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the rides though, so you said it performed really well in almost every of the 10 or 12 rides that you did. And of course, the one test that we're doing for the main video is where this happened at the Sunset Point. And LiDAR has its own limitations. It certainly glares, as you were discussing, solar glare will impact LiDAR.
Cameras. We're talking about cameras.
Yes. Well, LiDAR for Waymo, it has limitations as well. So the understanding, I guess, initially you had was that, hey, if I had LiDAR, maybe that wouldn't have happened. But sun, fog, rain, all of those are limited. It's the combination.
Yeah, so I said this kind of earlier on the other stream, but initially I thought maybe it was a LiDAR thing, but then I looked into it and it's actually radar that potentially would have been able to see through that sun glare. And again, I don't know if this is because it has hardware 4 in it and we need something more, or maybe as the AI continues to learn that it will improve and be able to see through the sun glare. And honestly, I don't even know 100% if sun glare is what caused the phantom braking. True. I don't know any of that information. I can assume because that's kind of what was going on during that time period. You can even see it on my face in the video. It's pretty obvious to see it, but it was definitely that time of day and that direct sun that just kind of blinds you. Yeah.
A really interesting question here that we actually planned on talking about was, do you believe someone in a different room was possibly controlling it? Because we know that's been the case for Waymo, as they've got kind of external operators out there, and we've seen pictures of the Tesla team with steering wheels. So some people were suggesting, is that a possibility?
Yeah, so definitely they did have teleoperators, but they were not driving the vehicles. They were there, I believe, for an emergency if something happened and they had to take over. Again, they're being extremely cautious.
And slamming on the brake in the sun there probably confirms that no one was driving, because if they were, they probably wouldn't be slamming on the brake, right?
Yeah, so then the safety supervisor, even at the end when I got out, he was like, sorry, we appreciate your feedback. Definitely leave feedback about this. Mm-hmm. And he could hear me the entire time while I was recording everything I said. It is, I'll tell you, from a creator standpoint, it's a little bit awkward to be recording all of it, knowing that you have someone from Tesla sitting in the car with you as an employee. Because honestly, I thought the ride would go smooth. We had done that same ride numerous times. I thought we were just going to be recording this race and kind of showing, how it started, different routes, all that kind of stuff. I didn't expect that to actually happen, even though I have experienced that, personally at home in full self-driving. I think a lot of full self-drivers have experienced that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the safety personnel wasn't really speaking much to you
they
guys,
weren't
right?
allowed to talk to you.
Not a single word.
No, you could try to ask them questions and they were like, I'm here for your safety, kind of like robots.
Yeah, might as well put one of those robots
I
in
know.
there.
I actually was like, kind of like, before I went, I was like, how cool would that be if Optimus was like sitting in the car with us?
Yeah.
But
so, I mean, the long-term goal with this is that everyone who has a Tesla, and this is what Elon Musk and Tesla has been promising for years, is able to tap into this. The app is on your phone right now. You can open it up and it says you're out of the perimeter, because out of that area, because you're in Georgia now, not back in Texas. But if that becomes available here in the next 6 months or 12 months, and you're able to ride hail this, potentially make up to $30,000 a year based on whatever, split revenue they offer, whether it's 60-40, you get 40%, they get 60, or something along those lines. And obviously it starts in Texas, because that's where they have very relaxed self-driving regulations. Waymo's there, and we know the 4 other cities Waymo currently is in. Those are probably the next line of cities that Tesla is going to follow suit in. But how quickly does it scale? Tesla and Elon Musk say 30 cities by this time next year, but
I feel like they're going to roll it out pretty slow here. I think that they do want to